Let's talk about the first big announcement that came yesterday. That is the reacquiring of none other than Dre Greenlaw, who was released by the Denver Broncos. Now he's back with the San Francisco 49ers. And look, I'm stoked. The fans are stoked. You can hear them. They're applauding right now. Guys, what was your take on Dre Greenlaw coming back to be a member of the San Francisco 49ers? He signed a one-year deal for $7.5 million. I'm not sure if any of that is guaranteed. I don't know if they've announced the details of the contract, but let's start with Aaron. Aaron, what did you think about the signing of Dre Greenlaw?
You have been pretty prophetic, and I didn't want to listen to it because, I'm all about getting younger and faster. But you mentioned this, and you did mention the Mike Evans thing too. So, like you said, I'm interested to see what the contract is, because 7.5, I said this yesterday, and I had a guy flip out at me and then block me. I don't know what his problem was, but I said 7.5 is a lot for a guy that could only maybe play 8 games, because that's how I'm thinking. But if it's structured a certain way, maybe it's more incentive laden, then it doesn't bother me as much. But hey, man, 1 year, cross our fingers that we can be healthy. I'm glad he's back, because I was always a big Dre Greenlaw fan, but I'm trying to be realistic about it, is what I'm saying.
Okay. Sterling, how'd you feel about this? I was stoked. I mean, I loved it, but I want to hear what both of you guys have to say. Sterling, how'd you feel about Dre Greenlaw returning to the Niners?
Yeah, when you've brought this up, and we've talked about this in previous shows, and really for the last month or so, it's been kind of a, no, don't do it. Don't do it. I don't want that. Please don't. He's often injured. He's missed 40% of his career games, and that's a massive risk. Now, money-wise, it's not, when you have only $7.5 million to his name right now. But I do think my, in concrete opinion will change depending on how much money he gets when it comes to guarantees. But as a fan, as somebody who loves football and loves watching the best of the best play, Dre Greenlaw, when healthy, is one of the best linebackers in football. The way he flies around, the way he plays. When they talk about the type of defensive player they want on their team, they're talking about Dre Greenlaw. It's a reckless abandon, wreaking havoc. It's Tasmanian devil going 110 miles an hour, all gas, no brakes. That is Dre Greenlaw. And I think if he can remain healthy for 14 games, 10 plus games next year, that's a massive upgrade over players like Nick Martin, who played in 2 games and got hurt, and nobody really knows what his health status is. D. Winters, who was poised for a massive breakout. Fred Warner gets hurt and then fell so far, it was like it was a crater to the core of the earth. This is a low risk, really high reward type of deal. And while there is risk, it's really hard to dislike this, because we all love Dre Greenlaw out here in the Bay Area.
Absolutely. Look, say what you want about the signing of Dre Greenlaw. I absolutely love this signing. This is what the Niners needed. The defense was never the same after Dre Greenlaw left. D. Winters attempted to kind of fill in his shoes. He fell short mightily. And to me, look, you still got D. Winters for one more year. But I would rather have him backing up Dre Greenlaw. I want his tenacity, his explosiveness. Now, is he going to have that explosiveness? Is he going to have that speed? It's yet to be seen. Now, last year, he went through a number of injuries. He had the quad injury, and then I believe he had one more after that. I think he got suspended as well, but I could be wrong about that. But he missed a significant amount of time with the Denver Broncos, enough to where they kept the guy who replaced him while he was gone and got rid of Dre Greenlaw in order to save themselves some money. Now, when you look at his numbers, right? And this is what I want to kind of point out. Okay, so here's PFF Dre Greenlaw, right? Okay, so of course I don't pay for PFF, and mine's all blurred out, like it's it's inappropriate. But no, so his overall grade is 74.8 on a 324 snap count. And he had 25 tackles, right? You can say 25 tackles, that's not a lot, right? But when you compare that to, let's say, D. Winters, he only has a 60.4 rating, ranked 46th out of 88 linebackers. And so Dre Greenlaw, playing less games, had a better rating than D. Winters, who had less snaps, 324 compared to 993 snaps. Is D. Winters a bad player? I don't think so. But to me, he's not nearly as good as Dre Greenlaw. But I think Greenlaw, he makes Fred Warner better. Fred Warner makes Dre Greenlaw better. The pair of them make our defense that much better. And so for me, I'm excited as hell to see Dre Greenlaw come back. Sterling, when it comes to comparing what you're going to get from D. Winters and Dre Greenlaw, would you say that Greenlaw is an upgrade from D. Winters?
100% if he can remain healthy, for sure. You go to last year with the Broncos, he played in 10 games, and that wasn't 10 full games. That was kind of an off and on, albeit there was a large stretch of him being healthy in there. He had the 18th highest overall grade amongst linebackers last year, had the 13th highest run defense grade amongst linebackers at 82.3. It had a 67.1 coverage grade. Now, I know PFF isn't the end-all be-all, but this guy, even if he has lost a step when it comes to coverage and the Achilles and the calf injuries are taking a toll on him, this dude still comes downhill like no other person in the NFL.
Absolutely.
His instincts are high. He's a high IQ player. Sometimes I know he can get maybe a little too excited and get some penalties called on him, but he knows where to be, sniffs out the run, again, as one of the best linebackers in the league. And so to ask if it's an upgrade, yeah, like this is like going from, Reuben Foster, who was like a middling, maybe he'll be something for a year, to Fred Warner, who's like an elite player in year 2. And you're like, oh my God. Like, now Dre has to be healthy. That's just the case. And that's the risk you're going to take. But
yeah,
if he's out there for an elongated period of time as the will linebacker, the Niners have, again, one of the best linebacker duos in football, bar none.
Absolutely. Aaron, would you rather see D. Winters? Would you rather see a different linebacker altogether that they sign out of free agency, or are you happy with Dre Greenlaw being back?
I can't see anybody out there realistically that would have came to the 49ers, that was good enough. The caveat with me with Greenlaw is just the injuries. That's really what it is. Because shoot, man, he never got a chance to run it back. After the Super Bowl, he came in a little bit in 2024, but he was never really in it. You know what I mean? He was in like for one game and that was it. So part of me, the sentimental part of me is like, oh, he's going to get a chance to run it back with Fred one more time. Who knows what happens, right? And to me, it's more of an indictment, I think, that they brought him in and they have a pretty big group of linebackers. None of them really pulled away last year. None of them really showed that they can handle the load. I do expect them. I don't know, Dre or Sterling, if you agree with this. I do expect them to hit linebacker again in the draft again to possibly bring in somebody that can be mentored or again can be part of the solution going forward down the road. Because like him coming in is an indictment on D. Winters, on Bethune, on Nick Martin. But I'm great. I'm happy for it. If he stays healthy, he's pretty damn good and he's pretty physical. And I like his kind of playing a little past the whistle type. I feel like last year we didn't have that. I want to see that kind of come back to this defense. Like the guys we're talking about in the one podcast, you want to have a couple guys that are a little mentally irregular on the team instead of having a bunch of choir boys. He definitely fits that. He definitely fits that when you're checking off, like, is there somebody on the team that's a little bit that has some issues? He definitely checks that box. So yeah, I'm good with it. I'm good with it, but I'm being like I said before in the last comment, I'm being realistic about it.
We got a question here from Gabriel. He writes, do we see a D. Winters trade? I believe he's on his last year of his current contract, and maybe we draft a younger linebacker. Sterling, do you think that we see a trade? I say no. I'd say they stick with the guys they got, but what do you think?
Well, you have to balance, again, going back to that risk of Dre Greenlaw's health. If you trade D. Winters, and let's say his value's at around a 5th or 6th round draft pick, this is a bad linebacker class. So you're going to see a run on them at some point on maybe early day 3, late day 2. And you run the risk of, if you're trading away D. Winters, getting rid of somebody that has started games for you in the previous couple seasons and does have some potential. Now, how much? That may be dwindling. I I don't think it's wise to trade Winters or Nick Martin or somebody else along those lines. I think you want to walk into preseason training camp knowing that guys go down all the time. Dre has had a history of non-contact injuries now with the calf stuff.
I have.
And you'd rather not trade D Winters, not get a linebacker because the draft class is poor, and then go, oh crap, now Dre Greenlaw's hurt, and say, well, Nicholas Martin has concussion problem, and we really don't like Luke Gifford playing Sam linebacker, and nobody else can truly play well, unless they plan to bring in somebody else. Now, if Eric Kendrick comes back this offseason, maybe that changes things. But right now, I don't see them making a trade at all previous to draft day.
And look at this. I mean, Aaron, how does this make you feel? I love seeing this. Like, there's Dre Greenlaw. He's back in the facility. He's signing the contract. He's excited.
The sentimental part of me is very excited. Dude, just because I'm negative about stuff doesn't mean that, like, in my heart, like, I'm always looking at things from a kind of a glass half empty, just because I have to do that for my own mental state. Because if I expect nothing to go wrong and it goes wrong, I can't handle it. So that's why. But in my heart, I love seeing Dre Greenlaw. I'm glad he's back.
I'm so glad he's back.
He's one of the few players that only looks good in a Niners jersey.
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't see Kittle wearing a different jersey. Fred Warner doing the same thing.
No.
Like, nope. I've already seen Trenton do it. I've already seen Christian McCaffrey do it. I hope I never see Purdy do it. But, like, Dre Greenlaw belongs in the red and gold, and he looks so good in it.
Yeah.
And being a 5th-round draft pick, 7 years ago now, really, like, it's very rare you find diamonds like that turn into franchise-altering pieces.
Yep.
So to have Dre back, like Aaron said, the sentimental side, the emotional side, the fan side is like, this is fantastic. He never should have left in the first place. Now they get him for a third of the price, and they get a 4th-round comp pick back anyways. So overall, good deal for San Francisco in a 2-year process.
Yeah, no, I think this is a great deal for San Francisco, and to me, it's a clear upgrade over D Winters. I think we saw enough of D Winters. I wasn't sold on D Winters. The Niners weren't sold on D Winters. Otherwise, they wouldn't have made this move. If they felt that D Winters was the heir apparent to Dre Greenlaw, that he can carry the weight, this probably wouldn't even be a conversation. But no, the moment he got released, they got on the phones and were like, "Hey, bro, we want you back. We miss you. We want you." And he was probably like, "Yeah, let's do this." And he looks extremely happy in this image. Now, everyone had their stuff to say about it. Emmanuel Acho had something to say about it. Other content creators. Let's hear what Dante Whitner had to say about the signing of Dre Greenlaw.
I'm kind of torn on this because when you look at Dre Greenlaw's body of work, he's probably missed over 40% of the games he was actually in the National Football League due to injury. So you have that injury issue again, and you're getting older on defense. But I think nothing's solidified on this 49ers defense. I think if Dre Greenlaw can come in 1 year removed and get healthy, I think he's the perfect linebacker to compete with D Winters. That's how you bring the dog out. You want to bring the dog out of D Winters? Bring in the guy that he's heard so much about and how Dre Greenlaw used to do it, how he used to take on blocks and the fire that he used to play with in physicality, and you put them in the same room and you see which dog come out alive.
What do you think about that? Do you think there's going to be a competition between Dre Greenlaw and D Winters? I don't think there will be. I think it's D Winters. I mean, it's Dre Greenlaw's job to lose. Unless he shows significant signs of slowing down and is not even close to being the player that he was before, I don't see D Winters reclaiming that starting spot. Sterling, what do you think?
Well, why are we acting like they haven't already been in a linebacker room together before?
Exactly.
What are you talking about?
He
Dre
totally
was
lost
here,
sight of that.
Concussions, man. Concussions.
It's a real
Dre was
thing.
here 3 years ago and was coming back 2 years ago, so it's not as if
Is
D. Winters
CTE
hasn't
a real
experienced-
thing?
Like, it's not as if D. Winters hasn't got to experience the animal that is Dre Greenlaw at a practice before. And I get it. Winters was younger, and now since then has had the chance to start games and has a full season under his belt of being a starter in the NFL. So maybe there is that of like, look, like maybe you got complacent last year. Maybe mentally you weren't too tough, and Dre can push you. We all talk about how Fred Warner was always in Brandon Ayuk's ear during practice, pushing him, trying to get him to go better. And I know Ayuk isn't maybe in the Niners' best sentiments right now as a fan base, but there is a sense of Trent and Nick Bosa pushing each other day by day, who can get better, who can iron sharpens iron mentality. So maybe there is a sense of that now that Winters has more playing time, but I do think it's Dre Greenlaw's job to lose. You don't sign a linebacker for $7.5 million and say compete. That's starting level money.
Yeah,
this is Dre Greenlaw's job.
He's a starter.
And if D Winters plays well, then maybe it makes things tough for them. Maybe it makes them more comfortable having him as the backup or playing Sam linebacker. I'm not sure, but it just seems like they probably want D Winters to grow a lot this year. And it'll be interesting to see too how Raheem Morris utilizes the linebackers this year. They brought in Nate Hobbs last night. He can play safety and cornerback and nickel. Now you have Dre and D Winters, which Dre could be that blitzing linebacker, so can Nicholas Martin. Whereas maybe D goes into coverage. And I think there's room for both those guys to play at the same time. In reality, doing what Raheem Morris likes to do. So it makes things more intriguing for sure, but this is Dre Greenlaw's job.
See, I thought that maybe the Niners wouldn't be able to get Dre Greenlaw because I felt like maybe Robert Saleh was going to reach out to him and be like, hey, if you come over here, I'll make you, the Mike linebacker. You'll call the plays. You'll run right my defense. But maybe he did, maybe he didn't. But I'm glad he's here. I'm glad he's partnered back up with Fred Warner. I think they're going to wreak havoc on the NFL. But do we think the Niners should try and bring back maybe an Eric Kendricks to back up Dre Greenlaw? I don't think Kendricks comes back unless he's going to be playing. I don't think he wants to come back to be a practice squad player or a backup, but it's possible. Would you rather see Kendricks as the backup to Greenlaw, or would you rather just have him stick with D Winters and Tatum Bethune and go with the guys that they drafted? Aaron?
And that's a good question. Most of this defense is pretty young. I mean, D-line's pretty young. Secondary is pretty young. A lot of the age is at linebacker. Most of the age is at linebacker. It's tough, man, because Eric Kendricks is a very experienced player. He played pretty solid down the stretch. I mean, he's nothing out of this world. I mean, he's older. It's hard to say, man. I really don't know. Part of me is like, go with Kendricks because of experience and probably because he's better than all the young guys you have in the building.
Yeah.
But at the same time, do you really want to spend money on another older player in the linebacking core when you've already brought in Greenlaw for $7.5 million? So I'm kind of torn on this one, to be honest with you. I'd rather have them find somebody younger around the NFL that maybe could come in if they're going to pay for somebody. But I don't know. I have hope that Nick Martin can become something, but I'm really worried because he didn't recover from his concussion until 2 months after the season. So
yeah,
I'm a little torn on this
as much
one. I
faith
really don't
in
know.
Nick Martin as Jacob Cowing. At this point, if he does it, awesome. If he doesn't, well, it is what it is. Gabriel writes, we had 2 linebackers show up at the end of the season that were sitting on couches and were instantly better than D Winters. I'm pretty sure we can find a backup if the injury bug bites. And I would agree that, against the Eagles, Kendricks looked really, really good. Then again, he's a seasoned veteran. It's easier for him to engage in the game and be able to kind of do what he has to do and not let the moment be too big for him because he's a seasoned veterin.
Also has fresh legs too.
Also had fresh legs. Him and Wallow, that was the one difference that I will say that in the wild card game against the Eagles, Wallow and Kendricks, they looked fresh. They looked full of energy while everybody else had played the entire season, was banged up here and there. Chris Hubner writes, next season we're banking on older players returning from major injuries. I'm hesitant to think Bosa, Warner, Kittle will be as good as they used to be.
Yep.
And then Peter Parker says, hey guys, what do you think about that, Sterling? Let me ask you about that. Do you think the Niners are making the wrong move, that they're investing into too many older players, that this is a team that is running the gauntlet of players getting hurt, breaking down because of their age, because of their recent injury past history? Do we think this is going to be a problem?
The Warner one I'm not too concerned about. They're one game away from him coming back, and so that to me isn't a concern.
Right,
The
right.
Bosa having 3 ACL tears, yeah, that's scary. Like it just is. There's a history there. I'm not sure if you guys saw Jabari Parker's knee in that photo yesterday.
Oh, I
He's
did.
had like 17 knee surgeries, and you're like, oh my God, that thing is freaking minced meat.
The
And
basketball
so,
player?
yeah. And so
Jabari
there is
Parker? What?
there is some concern that, the more you get cut open, the less likely you do come back. And so your legs either get tired and this, that, and the
Scar
other.
tissue,
And
man. Scar tissue.
Right. And, you've heard surgeries of guys having to go get that removed from some of the surgeries or injuries they've had. As Aaron raised his hand, said, I'm one of those people. And so Kittle, I'm also worried too. It's an Achilles tear, albeit not the most egregious one. I guess they did get some good news based on placement of it. So yeah, there is that concern. When guys get hurt, no matter the age, and it happens often, it's like, you can even mention and you can put in Dre Greenlaw in that conversation for 1 year and Mike Evans for 1 year.
Yeah.
I'm thankful that the Greenlaw deal is for 1 year only. There is no harm in a 1 year kind of stopgap try to get healthy type of deal. Mike Evans, it seems like that's a low guaranteed contract for if he's not healthy next year, they can say goodbye for a low cost. So they are signing veteran players to play pivotal roles for them, which is scary in itself because of the age and the injury stuff. But, there also is a chance things work out. Dre is 2 years removed from an injury. Maybe he's better in year. His second coming to the San Francisco 49ers. Mike Evans bounces back from a injury-riddled season last year that had him lose time because of a broken collarbone, was kind of a freak injury. And then maybe Bosa isn't this amazing defensive player of the year type of role anymore, but he's still a solid A- edge rusher. You're in a good spot still. They have plenty of work to do, and they have to find more pieces, but the Niners are banking on second, third, and fourth year players finally living up to potential. And you kind of have to do that when you are retooling. And so I'm all for it, but there are risks that are attached.